Hello and welcome to the Story Behind the Stories, your weekly look at the pages of the Neepawa Banner Press. Thank you very much for taking a little bit of your time and spending it here with us on NACTV. I'm Eoin Devereux, reporter with the Banner Press, welcoming you to the show almost as always. Joined almost as always as well, fellow journalist Casper Wehrhahn. Casper, good to have you here this week.
Good to be here with you and with the viewers as well. If they are there, you haven't been blown away by the recent winds, have you? I sure hope you haven't. It's been quite blustery out there lately, Eoin.
Oh yeah, most definitely. But at least it hadn't snowed this week.
Yes,
I think that's something we can all agree on.
That is definitely a plus. I'm very thankful for that. I'm quite done with snow. I don't want to get any more.
And from time to time, the rain is actually held off as well. A good shining example of that as well is right on the front page of this week's edition of the Banner Press. I was able to wrangle up representation from the town of Neepawa administration, as well as all the councillors and Mayor Brian Headley together over at 239 Mill, the location of our new training center. We've done many stories throughout the last few years about the former RCMP building and its shift over into a new training center now being used by Assiniboine Community College for its nursing program. Well, it's something that's very significant to the town of Neepawa, very important for the future of our community, and it's gotten a little bit of attention outside of our community as well. Most recently, representatives with the town of Neepawa went to the Economic Development Association of Manitoba general meetings. It's a session that's held each and every year. This year it was held in Portage-la-Prairie. It's where communities come together, share ideas, talk about future developments, economic issues that they're all dealing with. And at the end of it all, they have a ceremony, a little bit of a gala, where they celebrate some of the most innovative and interesting ideas that have come out over the last 365 days. Well, the town of Neepawa was up for one of those awards, and they were able to come home with one of those awards. They were nominated for, and they won the award for the specific criteria is, let me see here. Oh, I've lost it right now, and my memory isn't what it used to be. It's for projects over $100,000. So that's what they ended up winning. And they were spotlighted for all the work and innovation they had done with the restoration and the retrofitting of the RCMP building. So very proud to see that Neepawa is being acknowledged in this way for some of their creative economic endeavors. So I had a chance to get everybody together, get a picture with the award and building there. Brian Headley spoke on behalf of the town of Neepawa, thanking EDAM, the EDAM, for the acknowledgement and saying it's something they're very specifically proud of. And again, it's one of those things of, quite honestly, an award like that isn't going to sort of raise or lower your taxes or anything like that. It's not going to keep the lights on, but it's still something, a little bit of civic pride. That's something, Casper, I feel like maybe it's something most people don't really have that much anymore. And not just for Neepawa, I'm not just saying for Neepawa, but just wherever you're from. So these types of things, I don't think you should take these types of things for granted.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is an incredible thing to get recognized for. And I mean, even just looking at the transformation itself, like everything else aside, just looking at the transformation itself from what it was before to what it is now is incredible. Like the contrast between those two is so stark. And then for it to be used for a program like it is right now, that's of great benefit to the community and the area. It's something that we really need. And
a program that's going to directly benefit the town of Neepawa. Nurses, very much necessary for the expansion of the new hospital here in Neepawa. So I am sure there's going to be a few graduates from this program that are going to be sticking around. So it's one of those snowball downhill type things. It's just rolling and gaining momentum as we go.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely one of those things that helps build towards the future, which is something that you really want in your communities.
You make a very valid point there, and a nice little segue for the future. And there's another future endeavor that has gotten a little bit of support from one of our local businesses. You can find that story on page 2 of this week's edition of the Banner and Press. The Smile Cookie campaign recently took place, not just here in Neepawa, but all across Canada. For those of you who are not in the know, the Smile Cookie campaign done each and every year by Tim Hortons, and it is an effort on their part to raise funds locally to help local community groups, charities, and organizations. For the community of Neepawa, this year's money was going towards the expansion of the food bank here, the Neepawa Community Ministries Salvation Army Food Bank. It's a story we've talked about with you on the pages of the Banner and Press and right here on the Story Behind the Stories a couple times over the last 6 to 8 months. So they were able to raise, through the Smile Cookie campaign, a pretty impressive $14,000. Just a little bit over, just a few cookies over $14,000. And that money is all going towards the expansion of the food bank. So it's nice to see sort of a business see value in giving back to a community and for a community to see value in that business and help them in this endeavor.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, the Smile Cookie campaign is something that I think people look forward to every year, if I had to guess. I mean, it's a great cause, and then, of course, well, you get delicious cookies.
Yep.
And that's nothing to turn away from either. But I mean, definitely with the Neepawa Community Ministry Center this year being the benefactor from this, it's definitely something that's going to go forward and, again, help out the community. I mean, we've talked before, I mean, over the years, usage for the services that the community ministry provides has gone up quite a bit. So them being able to expand that way, as well as include more choice, which is something that they've been working on over the years as well, for the people that they do service, is amazing. So I'm very happy to see them get that this year.
That's right. And if you don't remember some of the details behind the expansion of the food bank, it is happening. It is on the progress of going forward. And they're doing it in terms of a shopping style. It's not just an expansion of the space, but it's an expansion of the opportunities and dignity for those who have to partake. And they're going to be doing it like a shopping facility, a supermarket type thing. You have more choices, more options. You can sort of go around, pick and choose what you need, but they need a little extra space for that. So that's what they've been planning, and that's what they're going to be doing. So wonderful. I had the chance, of course, to speak with Mandanot and Gale with the Salvation Army's Neepawa Community Ministry Center, as well as Greg Crisante of Tim Hortons, the owner and operator of our local Tim Hortons and several other Tim Hortons throughout the Westman area. So they were able to share some information with me in the story, and you can find that story, as we said, on page 2 of this week's edition of the Banner and Press. Always remember, physical copies of the Banner and Press can be found in 30 different communities throughout Western Manitoba. And if you can't find a physical copy of it anywhere, always remember, every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Central Time, it goes live on our website, mywestman.ca. Once again, 9 a.m. on every Friday morning over on mywestman.ca. All right, we got a few other items here. Casper, you got a story as well about a business helping out a local community organization, although it's a little further down the road, isn't it?
It sure is. Not too far, though, just down the road a little bit to Minnedosa. Well, the event itself is happening here in Neepawa, but down in Minnedosa there, I gotta remember the full name here, the Valley Life Family Worship Center.
Oh, geez, that's a lot of
lots of words.
It's a lot like Salvation Army Neepawa Community Ministry Center.
Yes.
All right, acronyms, people. Let's work on those acronyms. Come on.
Absolutely.
Like EDAM.
EDAM, nice.
That's a good solid
Short,
one.
sweet.
Exactly.
But yeah, they are formerly the Calvary Church over there in Minnedosa. They are working towards getting a new building for themselves, but not just for themselves either, for the community too. They do a lot of youth programming to give kids stuff to do after school, in the evening, that sort of stuff, and some support and homework help and all that sort of stuff too. They're looking at doing if they aren't doing some of that already. So what they want to do with their new building actually is include a youth drop-in center so that they can expand on those services and maybe expand even further past that going forward. And I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, I didn't include this in the story, but well, I should get to the couple points beforehand to explain it a little bit, but they're partnering with Neepawa DQ on the 20th from 4:30 to 8 p.m. There's going to be a portion of all food items purchased going towards the Youth Drop-In Center. But in the quotes I wasn't able to fit into the story, Pam mentioned that you know, this was something that she really wanted to get involved in because, you know, there was a lack of places for youth to go and do things and have support and all that. And that's something that Reverend Don Dragon touched on as well, is that, you know, they regularly have, you know, approximately 50 kids or so, about 75% of them regulars, coming each and every week to their youth programs. And, you know, they just need more space. Mm-hmm. So hopefully, once they do have that space, we'll see more youth getting involved in these programs and you know, having stuff to do, a place to go, and whatever support they may need.
That's really good. Those are those types of feel-good, sort of positive stories we definitely like to be able to share with you in the Banner and Press. It's interesting to see all that time and all that work and all that effort go into something just down the road in Minnedosa. Mm-hmm. We do attempt to be as regional a paper as we can, and fortunately this is one of those weeks where we're able to get one of these great stories from just a little further west of us down in Minnedosa, and to be able to share it with you. And it's interesting to sort of see how viable a project like this is in Minnedosa. Obviously, Minnedosa is a little bit smaller. It's roughly maybe about 40-50% smaller than Neepawa, but it is still a thriving community that's got a real hub of activity happening out there.
It really is, yeah. It's a very active community. I mean, there's so many things going on there. I can't even begin to name them all, of course, but and
just wait until they get the inflatable thing for the lake set up.
Oh,
and it's going to be even more activity.
It'll really be hopping then.
If you want to find that story, of course, always remember you can find it in this week's edition. You can find that on page 9 of this week's paper. And they also got the artist rendering, very impressive visual representation of what they expect to have and what they expect to put together. Hopefully it will look something like that. You notice from time to time, Casper, and it's not just a local thing, it's just not a Canadian thing, it's always sort of, you'll see when somebody's building something, it's always the artist rendering is beautiful. It's like got lights and glass and just all this sort of, it looks amazing, a foyer and all of that. And then when it actually gets built, it just looks like a box. It's like, wait a minute, what happened to the rendering? We wanted the rendering.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Oh, it turns out it was money. Yeah.
Yeah, money. I mean, along the way, things change. But, I mean, artist concept here looks great. So I am hoping that they're able to get it down like this. And I was intrigued as well, actually. There was a couple other photos on there. Not too many. It was mainly focused on the youth drop-in space. But right. It did show sort of like a meeting area as well that looked really nice. So, you know, maybe people can have different meetings there if they need a meeting space. So that's very nice for the community.
Well, that's good. And if you want to look like what the artist rendering says, that's why you got to go help out Dairy Queen in terms of this fundraising endeavor. So wonderful to see a local business step up like this. Multiple local businesses in this week's edition just stepping up and supporting as best they can. All right, we're going to stay in the business sector right now for this week's edition of the Story Behind the Stories. Once again, a story we're doing a bit of an update on. We had a much larger sort of retrospective and perspective on the new ownership that took over the former Neepawa Pharmacy, and now it's shifted over to Super Thrifty. And they had their official grand opening last week. They had been open. It was a soft open, as it were. But they did their ribbon cutting last week, so I was able to go down there myself and get a few pictures, speak with a few people on that, the significance of the changeover and what it means for Neepawa and what it means for the Super Thrifty as well. Because Super Thrifty is one of the last independently owned, independently operated sort of drugstore franchises in Western Canada. So this is very important, very significant, and wonderful to see that it is now establishing itself right here in Neepawa. So we're not going to cover it too much. That's why you got to pick up a copy of this week's Banner and Press and sort of see some of the details for yourself. All right, now one other item here before we get going here. Just a few submitted items that we wanted to, even though we didn't write these stories, we very much wanted to spotlight them because we're very appreciative when, not only when you give us a call and give us some tips, but also when you do our job for us. Thank you very much. That was great. I took a nap. So it was a short nap though. We work with other newspapers from time to time. Most recently, the Brandon Sun contacted me and asked for a few pictures that they wanted for their rural roundup that comes out each and every week, and they returned the favor to us. We are very appreciative of that. Perry Bergson, who does a lot of the sports writing for the Brandon Sun, was able to write this story about Volt Hockey, based out of Brandon, but is represented throughout Western Manitoba, including a representative who lives right here in Neepawa. Dylan, just off the top of my head, I believe Dylan Unger, the individual who is part of it. Volt Hockey is a great organization. It's a great sort of concept. And for me to walk you through that right now, I don't think would do Perry's words justice. So that's why I hope that you'll pick it up. And if you're not able to get a copy of the Banner and Press, this story is a republication with permission from the Brandon Sun. So go on to the Brandon Sun website, just do a Google search or Bing or whatever search engine you might use. Those are the only two I can think of. You know.
Yeah, I don't know if Yahoo is around anymore.
Yeah. Man, back in the day, we had something called Ask Jeeves. That was all right. Man, that's dating myself. But whatever search engine you want to use, just punch in Volt Hockey, Brandon Sun. It'll bring the story up for you. You can find it online. We did have to do some slight editing for space. Brandon Sun, a little bit behind the scenes. We are what is known as a tabloid, and no, not a tabloid like the National Enquirer or anything like that. A tabloid is talking about the shape of the newspaper. And the Brandon Sun is what is known as a broadsheet. Broadsheet is a much longer, much bigger style of paper. Think Winnipeg Free Press and, of course, Brandon Sun. And for a broadsheet, that's what they look like. And for a tabloid, think Winnipeg Sun or the Neepawa Banner Press. So we had to cut it down a little bit for space. So if you want to find the full story, you can find it online at brandonsun.com. One other one, we want to say thank you very much to High Life Foods. They sent us this submitted article about one of their drivers. You can find that story. It's on page 20 of this week's edition. It was Mario Bulacaso. I apologize, Mario, if I mispronounced that. But he won a pair of awards for driving. He's a truck driver with High Life. So he ended up winning the MTA Volvo Trucks Canada Manitoba Driver of the Year Award and the Manitoba Trucking Association's Inland Industry Excellence Awards. So congratulations to you, Mario. We are very pleased and very happy to be able to share your story and your successes with our readership on this. And again, thank you very much to High Life for giving us the information and essentially doing it for us. We always do appreciate that. We try to avoid as many press releases as we can. One of the most important things of a community newspaper is talking about the community and doing the work yourself. And we do as many stories as we can, week in, week out. But sometimes these type of submissions are appreciated. So these are two fine examples of them that I think you'll get some value out of in this week's paper. All right, let's go back into the pages here. There's one other item we can talk about here, most definitely want to share, and that's your story, Casper, talking about, God, this just occurred to me. This week's paper, everybody's being helpful. Everybody's being nice and doing nice things for people. Where's the doom and gloom? We gotta get more doom and gloom. Come on, people. I'm sure there's some jerks out there somewhere doing bad things.
Somewhere, somehow.
All right, but I guess, 1 week of just really nice people doing really nice things is good. And this is another pretty good example of it, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. I mean, there's still some time until this event happens, but wanted to get this in the paper pretty early ahead of time, considering the nature of it and, well, how fast spots are filling up on it by the sounds of it. It is the 28th annual charity golf tournament for Touchwood Park. They host it each and every year. Of course, this year is the 28th event. And funds for this year are going to be going towards the accessible playground that they are looking to build. Actually hoping to start construction this summer. And it sounds like they're already prepping the site for equipment to go in and all that. They have around 50% funds raised already, if I recall correctly. So that's great to hear. But yeah, it's going to be taking place on July 29th, starting about 12:30. Sounds like it'll be a pretty good day for golfers. Hopefully the weather stays clear for them that day as well. But yeah, spots are filling up fast. I was talking to Arlie Wilson there over at Touchwood. She's the executive director, and yeah, she said that responses already are just piling in, and it can fit a good number of teams. I think it was about 36 teams they can fit in there, so about 144 golfers, I think, total. 'Cause each team has like 4 people, something like that. And yeah, I mean, past years it's done really well in terms of support, which is always good to see, and they support some different projects and all that. Yeah, so hopefully this year will be another great year for them.
Most definitely. It sounds like it's going to be another positive one. And as Casper said, there are still some spaces available, but they are filling up rather quickly. So if you want to get some of that information, check out the article, check out Touchwood online. They'll be able to share some of the details with you. It's a well-attended, well-participated event each and every year. And but even more important than that, perhaps, it's just from the bits and pieces, it's a fun event as well. So that's great. There's so many other things we could talk about right now. We only got a few minutes left, so we're just going to do a few quick little blurbs here and there on them. We have our special Father's Day feature in this week's edition of the Banner Press. Father's Day is coming up as of recording, next week it'll be coming up there. And we have a service, Metro Communications or Metro Connections, that does these types of things for us. And there was only one story related to Father's Day in this year's sort of folders, as it were. And it was like, wow, maybe fathers really are underappreciated. Because I remember when we did our Mother's Day feature, there were like 4 different story options for mothers. And don't get me wrong, mothers very much, thank you very much. Very appreciative of what you've done. But, what about Dad?
Yeah, that was something that when you brought it up in the office after taking a look there, I was surprised. I was like, really? There's only 2 and only one of them is from this year?
Yeah.
Like, that was quite surprising. Mm-hmm.
But again, having said that, this year it talks about some great grilling gifts for your dad this Father's Day. I mean, that's just rolling in the cliche that guys like to do barbecue, guys like to grill. It's true, but still, we don't like it being, come on. I mean, we like barbecue. I'm not a father. I'm not. But guys in general, I'm dad age. When I actually do the math, I'm actually coming up on grandpa age, but that's neither here nor there.
That's besides the point.
Oh, geez. Oh, all of a sudden my back hurts. But again, sure, guys of a certain age, they like the barbecue, they like their lawn a certain way. So, but this little thing about some grilling options and some grilling gifts for them, hopefully you'll be able to find something of value out of it and maybe show some appreciation to Dad on that. So, yeah. We got our sports page as well. So many different things we could talk about. Santa Clara Baseball League is in full swing right now. Always remember, each and every Neepawa Cubs home game is rebroadcast right here on NAC TV. Always remember to check your local listings for times where you can check out the Neepawa Cubs of the Santa Clara Baseball League. Their most recent game, as of recording right now, was a game they had against the Austin A's. It didn't turn out the way they wanted it to. They ran into a real hot pitcher who just was able to just take the bats out of the hands of the Neepawa Cubs on the way to a very impressive 4-2 win. So that's the reality of it. Cubs are still doing pretty well, though. As of recording, they got a 3-2 record. Their next game is going to be coming up on Friday the 7th of June, right here against the Portage Padres. If you're not able to get down to the field and see it live and in person, always remember, just like I said, check your local listings. NAC TV's got you covered. All right. Other things around as well, the Neepawa Titans, the MJHL Bantam Draft recently took place. They were able to pick up some young prospects for the future. They had 7 picks, and 5 of those picks were offensive players, forwards. So they're really looking and focusing upon the offensive onslaught of the future for that team. You can find some of the names of some of those players and some of their details in the paper this week. All right, now we're coming up near the end. We appreciate you showing up and walking through this with us. And there's so many other things, like I said, that we could talk about. We didn't even touch on the Westman Youth Choir going to Carnegie Hall in New York. We didn't even get a chance to speak on Rob Waddell's concert in Arden that went over extremely well. We didn't even get an opportunity to talk about a mystery Manitoba car that's found its way into Missouri, of all places. That's an interesting little story. That's an interesting little tidbit and mystery happening there. That's why you always got to remember to pick up a copy of the Neepawa Banner Press. A physical copy anywhere in 30 different locations throughout Western Manitoba. We print off just over 7,000 copies that go all over. And if you're not able to get an actual physical representation of it, you can always find it at mywestman.ca. Once again, that's mywestman.ca. So that pretty much covers it for this week. Is there anything else you wanted to sort of cap off with before we head out the door there, Casper?
Well, I guess one thing interesting for the looking back this week, some drilling for iron near Neepawa. That might pique some people's interest. And then, of course, there was a little bit of a to-do in Burnie, I believe, recently as well for the nursery school. So, yeah, I mean, definitely take a look through the paper. There's a lot more that we couldn't cover.
That's right. Our regular features like Looking Back, Helen's Kitchen, and Ken Waddell's column right in the center. So these are regular features that are very well received. Well, maybe not Ken's each and every time, but usually. So we always appreciate the support in any way, shape, or form you're able to give it, whether it's through advertising or whether it's through story leads. Always remember you can give us a call at 476-3401. or at news@neepawabanner.com for any story tips or suggestions or ideas you have. So once again, 476-3401. That's the number you can reach us at, and news@neepawabanner.com. We're doing okay for this week. I'll be honest with you, we're doing all right for this week. About 7 or 8 things of immediate we need to cover, and about 7 or 8 other things we got on the burners. But any other tips you got, we'll figure it out. So once again, for Casper, I'm Eoin, and thank you as always for tuning in to NAC TV and the story behind the stories.